Hi, this is Dr. Cairns. Welcome to week 4 of organization behavior. Here's our roadmap. By the end of this week, we'll have completed nearly 2/3 of the class, but only 52% of the required assignments. So what does that mean? It means we're running out of time, but we still have plenty of work left. So we need to finish strong. And primarily, our applied organization diagnosis paper makes up the bulk of that assignment. Remember, it's my desire that regardless of everything that we have in this class, that you walk away or leave this class having experienced a positive, life-changing experience as a result of something in this course, that God visited you, amazed you in some capacity, whether that be personally, professionally, or spiritually. So we still have time for God to do that. So this week, I mentioned in my video 21 Seconds to Change Your World, because the chapters that you read in The Christian Atheist talked about prayer, and I just completed this book. It's a short book, and it's one that I would recommend to anyone just to revisit the Our Father or the Lord's Prayer. It takes 21 seconds to say that. And then also Dr. Rutland puts a parallel or a comparison also to Psalm 23 in a very famous psalm that the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, by King David. So if you have time and you'd like to visit that, I'd recommend that you do that. Also, make sure you keep copies of your Christian Atheist reflections. You're doing a phenomenal job there. There are commitments that you're making to yourself, so it's always great to come back and revisit that, as well as how you're relating that to organization behaviors is phenomenal. So this week, you're going to be sharing with each other your classic organization paper. This is a template, again, that you could follow. This is the information that I would suggest that you include, whether or not you use this template or something else. So just be thinking about that. This is also going to be the rubric that I use to evaluate your paper. And as I look through that, I'm going to be obviously looking for continuous improvement, and this is an opportunity to continue to enhance our writing as well as the content around it. So this is going to be the rubric. So good, better, and best. So your paper definitely will be good, and let's see how it separates out the better and the best. And then also your presentation to each other of your paper is worth 13 points, as well as 12 points for your own discussion of your colleagues. So content will be the largest section of that, delivery, as well as your visuals. So this will be the rubric that I'll use for that. Sustainable relationships. You're going to be reading chapters 15, 16, and 17. And so chapter 16 looks at conflict resolution. And so I mentioned also in my video, but I mention it here as well. If you don't know what your conflict style is, just Google the words conflict resolution, conflict communication style, assessment, survey, instrument, and you'll find a variety of free ones. If you've had me in class for managing teams in conflict, you would have access to that, because I have that as part of a requirement in the course. But I want you to know what your own style is, because it's important for us to know how that plays out in us being a leader as well as being a member of a group. And so I look at Philippians 2:4 that says, let each of you look not only to his own interests but also to the interests of others. So if I want to have strong, sustainable relationships, it's important how I know, am I competitive when it comes to conflict? Do I compromise or accommodate? Do I avoid conflict? How effective am I? So as you focus and concentrate on that, and then realizing that your own behavior contributes to that conflict. So as you study that, I encourage you to think about that some more. And then chapter 16 looks at organizations and how they're actually structured, and chapter 17 in terms of organization design. And these tend to be a little bit more technically oriented for those of you that may be working in HR. And so I give you to just kind of look through those, But what really pops out of me that I'd like to leave you with is that it strikes in terms of how I organize my own life. And you might have heard this before. Do you have a board of directors in your life? Look at yourself. Are you the chief executive? Who else do you influence, and who influences you? And who do you allow into your life? And then looking at the imperatives approach in terms of the number of people perhaps that I allow into my life. Is it a small number, a large number? How do they influence me, and what types of hierarchy do I listen to? Those that are my peers, or those above me, or those that might even be below me to help me in my effectiveness? And I like this one aspect of having a board of directors, obviously in Colossians, that Christ is the head of the body, or the head of the church. And so as I structure my life where I want to grow and have a character of integrity, and also focus on things that are purposeful and have meaning, do I have Christ as the head of me? And I like also finding in Exodus where Moses, he listened to his father-in-law and he did all that he said. And I'm not necessarily looking at this meaning in terms of father-in-law, and we can make our own in-law jokes, but this is really basically saying, who do we listen to in our life, and do we listen to others? And then also knowing that, calling upon God, that he's going to reveal things to us. And most importantly, I like in Proverbs that only a fool is going to go off on their own, but a wise man is going to listen to advice. So think about these things as it relates to growing spiritually as you read chapters 16 and 17. So we continue to daily make mention that God will amaze you in some aspect of your life. This week, forum discussion, you have the classic theory presentation. You also make sure you complete the quiz no later than Sunday for chapters 12 through 14. You read chapters 15 to 17, and that quiz will be due by the end of week 5. Looking ahead, in week 5, our Strength Finders assessment, so make sure you have that book and have taken the assessment, because you're going to be sharing those results and thinking about those. And then make sure you've partnered up if you're going to partner. If you haven't, or you're not going to partner, make sure you've gotten that approval from me. But also, if you're partnering, make sure I know who's in your group. And then we'll have a faith interaction lecture and quiz that will bring all of the things together. So the virtual classroom never sleeps. I take a little nap from time to time, but I do answer my emails in a timely fashion. So should you need anything from me, please let me know. Otherwise, have a blessed week.